Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel. If you don't know who I am already, my name is Nick Barden. I cover the Toronto Marlies for the Leafs Nation, and in today's video, we've got a lot to talk about. We got Pavel Gogolev going down to the Growlers, we have Dimitri of Chinekov, and when he might be coming to Toronto, we have Curtis Douglas and the initiative he's doing to raise money, and we've got a Q&A with Alex Steeves. So if you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. If you really enjoy it, subscribe. Let's talk about it all. I want to start off with Alex Steeves though. I did a Q&A with him yesterday on Thursday. I talked to him about a number of things, but a few things stuck out and I'm going to put them in this video. If you do want to see the full article though, it'll be at theleafsnation.com. I'll leave a link to it down below. But one of the things he talked about was leaving school and coming to pro. He could have spent one more year at school and did that and finished and got his degree, but he came to the Toronto Marlies and he played here. And one of the things that stood out to me was the fact that him not getting drafted sort of allowed him to come in with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, getting passed on in the draft in particular was probably the single most powerful / best thing that ever happened to me.
Another fun part of the interview, though, was him talking about his friendship with Alex Steeves, and there was a whole lot of things that they do. One of the things that he likes to do with him is go out for dinner. So I asked him, what are the best restaurants that he's had so far in Toronto?
I really like Soto. Soto's good. Been to some other good ones, but I think our most frequently visited restaurant is the Keg, just because it's super reliable. I think the waitresses kind of like know us there now. Like they come, like Helly and I walk in and they're like, "Oh, these guys are back." Like we're probably keeping them in business, but yeah, no, we just have a good time.
But again, if you do want to read the full article, it'll be down in the description, theleafsnation.com. Go check it out. Now let's talk about Curtis Douglas a little bit. He, Chad Chris, Brennan Manel, and Matt Hellickson all pitched in to cut their hair. And when I mean cut their hair, they got mullets. March Mullets for Mental Health is what they're calling it. It's an initiative where they spread awareness and raise money for CAMH, which is the Center for Addiction of Mental Health in Toronto. So what the whole thing is you would see one of those guys with a mullet and you would ask, hey, why do you have a mullet? And that's really the whole thing around it, and it sparks a conversation about mental health. It's a great cause. I'll also link the GoFundMe down below, and if you want to donate, that'd be amazing. But here are some of the things that Curtis Douglas said on why he wanted to do it.
The main kind of thing is with the hashtag and the stuff is it's asked me about my mullet. So that's kind of like the main I don't want to say purpose. Like it's sort of it's asked me about my mullet. Is like I said, you asked me about this kind of whole thing, and I get to start talking, and we get to start talking about mental health and this and that, and it just leads to a broader conversation, and it ends up being really healthy for the both of us, and I think that's great. I think sometimes it's the people you'd never think it was, right? And there's people struggling and mental health challenges us all. And I think sometimes it's the people you least expected, and you reaching out to them, you never know what kind of impact that has on them. That could make their day, that could make their week, that could make their month, that could make their year. Just you reaching out, 3 little words, how are you? Really, how are you? It takes 5 minutes, it might be uncomfortable, but it can make a hell of a difference.
You know, it's really cool to see a bunch of players, especially on the Toronto Marlies. You had Josh Hosang earlier in the season, and probably now he would still talk about just the mental health side of the game and having a therapist and how that's good, and a few other players have talked about it as well. It's nice to see a hockey team sort of step out a little bit. You have Bell Let's Talk Day, but there's not really much else, and to have these players sort of go out and talk about it when they don't need to is something really cool in my opinion, and I will support it no matter what. And again, if you want the GoFundMe link and to donate, I'll put it in the description. Click on it and donate if you'd like. Now let's talk about Dimitri of Chinekov a little bit. He recently signed a 3-year entry-level deal with the Maple Leafs and was supposed to come to Toronto and play with the Marlies, but since Russia invaded Ukraine, I believe that's made things a little more difficult just to get him over to Toronto from, I believe, Russia to play here. And when we asked Greg Moore about it the other day, he didn't really have much of an answer on when he would be here either.
No, I know that there's a process in place to get him here. I don't know yet when that'll be.
But yeah, that's really it on Ovchinnikov coming to Canada. I will say, though, that everything that's going on in Ukraine, it's horrible, it's unimaginable, and it's something that should never happen in life. There should never be a country that invades another one. So my heart goes out to everyone in that country, because you see the people fleeing, you see just what the magnitude of everything going on there, and it makes you thankful that you get to live in a country where it's safe. But again, it's also it's a very scary situation, and hopefully the best can happen in Ukraine. Finally, though, we're going to end off the video on Pavel Gogolev, who most recently was sent down to the Newfoundland Growlers of the ECHL. This season, he had 8 points in 30 games. He really didn't look like the player that he did last season during the COVID season with the Marlies. I think it has a lot to do with the skill level. I think last season there wasn't that good of a pool of players at the AHL level. A lot of them were on taxi squads, which really took away from the competitiveness. Gogolev came in, he played well. This season is a little bit different. A lot of the good players are back, and it just seemed like there were some parts of Gogolev's game that weren't really the best, and he couldn't find a rhythm, and then he would just fall through the lineup and eventually would end up on the fourth line, and most recently getting scratched and now sent down to the Newfoundland Growlers. Coming in from Newfoundland, though, is Zach O'Brien, who actually led the Growlers in scoring this season. It'll be interesting to see where he fits into the lineup, but again, for Gogolev, I think him going down to the Growlers will be a thing that helps him a lot. And Greg Moore was asked on Thursday what he thought about Gogolev's game so far this season. This is really all he had to say on it.
Just find consistency in his compete. There's been games this season where you're like, holy, like this guy he's on fire. He's adding to the game in a lot of different ways, whether it's tracking the puck down and sorts on entry against and finishing his hits, or stripping guys of pucks and getting pucks back. And then the offensive plays and the entry plays and his playmaking ability, his scoring ability. Then there's just some games where you don't really notice him as much. The energy's not quite there. So for him, it's just piecing together the consistency of everything on and off the ice, so that in the games it comes together for him.
Gogolev going down to the Growlers, though, is really, when you look at it, it's a positive sign for him. He can go down, play against talent that's not as good as the AHL, gain some confidence, and hopefully light up the league, and hopefully show that he's an AHL player and he can continue to use the steps to get to the NHL level. But at this point, he is going to play with the Growlers. I don't know when he might play, but again, it'll be exciting to see what he can do there, and hopefully he can regain his form. Hopefully he can find his game and be able to bring it back to the AHL level. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Again, if you do enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. If you really enjoy these videos, subscribe. It helps a lot in terms of me just continuing this process and seeing that people are enjoying these videos. And also comment down below which player you'd like to see me talk about next video on the Toronto Marlies. So thank you so much for watching. Again, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.